Prairie. Orra senses the first signs of a storm forming over the dry land.
Luma feels the air change before a single drop has fallen.
Far above the parched grass, the sky begins to gather its strength.
Niko feels unease without understanding why the earth is moving around him.
The first to leave the savanna are those who can escape the sky.
Yoz answers the wind with muscle and instinct. The dry ground reacts to the rising force above it.
Anna studies the sky, learning its language without words.
Their fragile shelter trembles in the breath of the coming storm.
Lisa knows that if the storm takes the fire, it takes their safety too.
The sky closes like a lid over the dry land.
Orra meets the storm standing, not running.
The storm announces itself long before it arrives. Without language, they still understand what must be done. The land holds one final breath before the sky breaks open. The first drop is never gentle on a thirsty land. Orra understands that this is only the beginning.
Water falls too fast for the land to drink it.
Luma's first instinct is always the child. Lisa moves to protect the only light they own.
The storm erases the horizon and narrows their world.
Yoz becomes part of the structure that keeps them alive. Anna learns to answer chaos with action. The cracked and devastated land was now soft and uncertain. In that instant, the storm showed them everything. Sound became another form of impact.
The storm pushes them toward each other.
The first weakness of their shelter reveals itself in falling water.
Orra fights the storm with nothing but his hands.
The dry plain is reshaped in a matter of moments.
Luma turns her own body into a barrier.
Her attention is divided, but her fear is single, losing the flame.
Anna learns that even a single branch can change the storm's path.
Yoz knows the shelter stands only as long as he does. The prairie, which had been silent, suddenly became a raging roar.
Fire, their most fragile ally, begins to lose its strength.
Lisa offers her own body to keep the flame alive.
Orra joins her, knowing that without fire, the coming night will be merciless.
Darkness presses closer with every fading spark.
Luma protects both the youngest and the future of what they learn.
Storm finds new ways to invade their fragile refuge.
Yoz answers the tearing roof with stubborn force.
Anna learns that even soaked leaves can still protect.
Breathing became another challenge in the midst of the storm.
Hope dims to the size of a small red glow.
Night hunters take advantage of the storm's distraction.
She shields not just his body, but his memories.
The sound itself became another force that they had to endure. They refused to move away from the dying flame. The storm made one last attempt to completely engulf them.
Even in fear, she keeps reinforcing what keeps them alive.
Their world narrows to a few glowing sparks on the wet earth.
The child learns that survival can be as small as a flicker.
The storm begins to spend the last of its power.
He gives the fire what little he has left.
She tests the boundary between too much and just enough.
From almost nothing, the fire answers.
The storm finally begins to release its grip on the land.
They could not fight the storm, but they went through it together. A land that was once dust now shines with the storm's passing.
Orra is the first to face what the storm has changed. The storm rearranged the world without asking.
Luma lets the child see the damage, but not alone.
Yoz feels the weight of what his body has held together.
Lisa tends the flame that has survived its first true trial. Anna inspects the weaknesses that the wind revealed.
Against all odds, their fragile home remains.
He studies what almost failed, so it does not fail again. He turns the storm's wreckage into new strength.
She rebuilds with the memory of where the water broke through.
Luma teaches with touch and repetition, not words.
Lisa gives the flame a stronger boundary.
He not only survived this storm, but is preparing for the next.
The storm that destroys us also teaches us many things.
Even as a child, Niko starts to map the shapes left by the rain.
She sees how water chooses its paths across the land.
For the first time since the storm began, he can truly breathe. Between them, a quiet recognition of what they have kept alive. Without speaking, they all know they have changed.
They remain a small presence on a vast and ever-changing land. The flame stands as proof that not everything the storm touched was lost.
He understood that survival now involved planning, not just endurance.
She begins to imagine how they might build differently next time.
In play, the child repeats what the storm has taught them all.
Lisa refuses to trust survival to a single flame again.
Even ruined materials are prepared for the next storm.
The sky slowly returns what it had taken.
He knows that danger does not end just because the rain has.
They are no longer the people who faced the storm just hours before.
Dawn returns to a land reshaped by the night.
Orra sees both the damage and the possibility in the new day. They learn where the water collects when the sky breaks open.
For the child, the storm has become a memory of movement and light.
For Yoz, the storm has become new building material.
Lisa turns foresight into warmth. Anna reads the story the storm has written on the ground.
The savanna breathes differently after the storm.
They stand not just as survivors, but as learners. From this moment on, survival will no longer depend on instinct. He understands that the ground itself changes when the sky does.
They begin to choose where to stand, not just where they end up. He no longer trusts luck to keep the roof above them.
She sees that where they build may be as important as how.
In his play, he repeats the same gestures that saved them.
She creates a hidden spark, a secret backup for whatever the sky might bring.
The day begins to erase the visible traces of the storm.
He knows the sky will test them again.
She leads the child into a world that has become slightly more understandable.
They turn the storm's destruction into preparation. Together, they hold the first fragile pieces of wisdom.
We are still small compared to the earth, but that within us has grown.
Every change around them began with a thought that arose in the storm.
They move forward, carrying what the storm has taught them.
Every step leaves an imprint on the land and in their memory.
The prairie is peaceful again, but not as it once was.
The trail of the storm remains as a map of lessons.
They began to choose not only how to live, but also where to live.
The same sky that threatened them now watches in silence.
This is how humanity begins, not by resisting the storm, but by learning from it.